Well, my story is...
In 1982, on the 30th of December, right between Christmas and New Year's Eve, a little girl named Katie Beers was born in the town of Mastic Beach, Long Island. But to people familiar with this case, she's ended up being known as the
0:12:12 seconds, but to people familiar with this case, she's ended up being known as the girl in the wall. Dash investigator. 0:19:19 seconds. Tell me something, Katie. He threw me on the bed. I just want my daughter back. 0:24:24 seconds, please, bring her back. Katie. And then I was screaming my brains out. I heard her say a man was coming after her. 0:31:31 seconds with a knife. And she said, "Oh my God, here he comes." Katie. He started kissing me. Our biggest concern is that we find this child, Chapter 2, the godmother. Chapter 3, Katie's uncle. 0:40 seconds well and safe. Katie. My hand hit a nail. The last time I've seen her was when she was walking toward the machine. Chapter 4, family friend. 0:47 seconds. I started getting scared. Katie. Then he 0:51 seconds locks me in that little cubby hole. Kidnapped, assaulted, trapped, and chained up. 0:58 seconds 9 year. Old Katie Beers was abandoned by her mom, then used as a slave by her godmother and her sexually deviant husband, before eventually getting kidnapped and trapped in an underground dungeon. 1:091 minute, 9 seconds. For over 3 weeks, the Long Island police dug deep into this menagerie of characters, each more suspicious than the next, in hopes of getting their hands on the captive 9-year-old. 1:191 minute, 19 seconds. Investigator. She's behind the wall. If she's behind the wall, she's not alive. But to their surprise, she was already at it. She knew how to save herself. 1:271 minute, 27 seconds. She tried every strategy she could to make him change his mind and ultimately prevailed. 1:341 minute, 34 seconds. This little girl, at 10 years old, changed a kidnapper's mind. In the small hamlet of Bayshore, Long Island. 12:17 minutes, 17 seconds. John Esposito painted himself as a big brother. 12:21 minutes, 21 seconds. Detectives discovered that he tried to join that organization, and they did a background investigation on him. 12:29 minutes, 29 seconds. We learned that he had been involved in an abduction of a 7-year-old child, 15 years prior to Katie's disappearance, and they ruled him out as being a big brother. 12:38 minutes, 38 seconds. We were ramping up the pressure on him, following him wherever he went. 12:42 minutes, 42 seconds. This caught the attention of the media, who also started to scour around his house. 12:47 minutes, 47 seconds. Police searched Esposito's property, the main house, and the converted garage out back where he actually lived. 12:53 minutes, 53 seconds. I knew that the number one suspect was Esposito. 12:56 minutes, 56 seconds. I could see the news was camped out in front of his house. 13:0213 minutes, 2 seconds. And if you haven't guessed yet, the kidnapper was, in fact, John Esposito, aka Big John, all along the man. 13:0913 minutes, 9 seconds. Katie called her best friend was actually planning and scheming until the day he finally kidnapped her. 13:13 minutes, 16 seconds. Big John was probably the last person that I could have imagined having ever hurt me in such a way. 13:24 minutes, 24 seconds. Katie was relieved that the police finally got on the right track, but at this point, Veron doesn't have anything to incriminate Esposito. And even worse, 13:33 minutes, 33 seconds. She still had no idea what he did with Katie. 13:35 minutes, 35 seconds. As each day went by, they were becoming more convinced that what we were going to find was not live Katie Beers, but a body of Katie Beers. 13:46 minutes, 46 seconds. A few days later, Katie woke up in the dungeon. 13:49 minutes, 49 seconds. Esposito had put a chain around my neck. 13:51 13 minutes, 51 seconds. I realized that the key that I had grabbed was actually for the padlock, so I was able to at least release myself. 14:0114 minutes, 1 second prior to unattaching it, I would count how many links were on the end of it, and up to the wall as well. 14:0814 minutes, 8 seconds. When she would hear Esposito coming, she would quickly chain herself up again in the exact same way he did, but this tended to happen less and less. Since the police? 14:1614 minutes, 16 seconds convinced that he was behind her disappearance, almost never left him alone. 14:2014 minutes, 20 seconds instead. They kept an extremely tight surveillance schedule around him and his house, and Veron even went inside to interrogate him. 14:2714 minutes, 27 seconds. I could see it drain out of his face, the concern. 14:3014 minutes, 30 seconds. I was very disturbed and very concerned that John Esposito had something to do with her abduction. 14:3714 minutes, 37 seconds. Out of options, Esposito started making desperate requests to Katie, but the little girl knew better. 14:4314 minutes, 43 seconds. Let's make the police believe that you're dead. Play dead. I'll take a picture of you. Once police see that, they'll give up on you. 14:5014 minutes, 50 seconds, and Katie, the bright little girl, wise little girl that she was, knew that that could be her death sentence. 14:5714 minutes, 57 seconds, and she refused to play dead and let him take a picture of her. 15:0215 minutes, 2 seconds. From that point on, I rarely slept, and I also did not eat any of the food that he could have altered. 15:1015 minutes, 10 seconds, because I was fearful that he might put something in the food, a sedative, a sleeping pill, something, so that way he was able. 15:1915 minutes, 19 seconds to get the photo that he wanted, so the police would stop looking for me. 15:2315 minutes, 23 seconds. After this, Katie decided to confront him, to barrage him with questions in hopes of making him realize the insanity behind his actions. 15:3115 minutes, 31 seconds. How I was going to go to school, what I was going to do to survive. I wanted to get married and have kids, and he would always have witty remarks right away. 15:4015 minutes, 40 seconds, like, oh, you'll have kids with me, you'll marry me, you'll do this with me. So I would always tell him, no, I don't want to do that. I was disgusted. I was 10 years old. 15:4915 minutes, 49 seconds. I was trying to get him to think about the long term of him kidnapping me. 15:5515 minutes, 55 seconds. Esposito began to crack between the overwhelming police presence, Veron constantly tailing him, and Katie's incessant nagging and questioning. 16:0316 minutes, 3 seconds. He confided to her that he was planning to either end his life or run away. 16:0716 minutes, 7 seconds. She knew that if she let it happen, he would probably kill her or leave her to die in the dungeon. 16:1216 minutes, 12 seconds. I told him that I was sick and I wasn't feeling well. 16:1416 minutes, 14 seconds. I think between the police department laying on him at his house all the time and my questions, and then me saying that I wasn't feeling well, finally wore him down. 16:2416 minutes, 24 seconds. So all of this pressure is mounting. He finally speaks to his attorney. He says, I have something very important to tell you. And he tells him, 16:3216 minutes, 32 seconds. I know where Katie is. And the attorney says, what do you mean? He says, she's behind the wall. And this where Veron. 16:3916 minutes, 39 seconds, and everybody else involved in the case understood that John Esposito wasn't your usual kidnapper, but an actual mastermind. 16:4716 minutes, 47 seconds. Esposito escorted police and the district attorney through all the steps of unearthing the dungeon. It to be 21:0421 minutes. For seconds, she wants every survivor of any kind of abuse to know that they are more than what. While he was waiting for the FBI, Veron continued his investigation. 6:476 minutes, 47 seconds. Naturally, he started by looking into the most likely suspects. 6:516 minutes, 51 seconds. The main players were Marilyn Beers, the natural mother, a dysfunctional, incompetent mother. Linda Ingillery, the godmother. 6:586 minutes, 58 seconds. My main concern is to let people know how much I cared for her. 7:027 minutes, 2 seconds. She was used by the godmother to run all kinds of errands. 7:067 minutes, 6 seconds. Sal Ingillery had been charged with sexual abuse on Katie Beers. 7:117 minutes, 11 seconds. The little girl don't want to live in Mastic Beach with her mother. 7:147 minutes, 14 seconds. But there was also a fourth suspect outside of the family, the last man to see her before the abduction. 7:207 minutes, 20 seconds. John Esposito, not a relative, but a family friend. 7:247 minutes, 24 seconds. He said, "Something dirty happened." The FBI eventually shared what they found with him. 7:297 minutes, 29 seconds. It seemed that Katie's call was made from a phone booth in front of Spaceplex, which is weird since they still had found no trace of her inside of the recreation center. 7:387 minutes, 38 seconds, and she apparently tried to call Linda 19 times before she decided to leave a message on her answering machine. 7:447 minutes, 44 seconds, but all of these clues were nothing compared to the result of the audio analysis the FBI carried out on the call. 7:507 minutes, 50 seconds. I never forget the call I got from the scientist at the FBI lab who gave me the next bit of breaking news. 7:587 minutes, 58 seconds. It wasn't actually Katie who broke free and made that call. It was a recording. 8:038 minutes, 3 seconds. It was someone who tape recorded Katie and wanted us to believe, or it seemed that the call came from that telephone booth next to Spaceplex. 8:128 minutes, 12 seconds. The detective was starting to put the pieces together, and it became evident that the culprit fooled them all. 8:178 minutes, 17 seconds. The kidnapping of Katie has been used as a front to something far more sinister. 8:218 minutes, 21 seconds. The phone call was a scripted plot by an individual to make us think that Katie Beers was abducted. 8:318 minutes, 31 seconds. Back at the dungeon, Katie knew what was going to happen and decided to fight as hard as she could. 8:368 minutes, 36 seconds. She noticed the door of the casket was loose and went at it. 8:408 minutes, 40 seconds. Eventually, I had kicked it long enough and hard enough that snapped, and I was able to, kind of, safely exit. 8:498 minutes, 49 seconds. To her, this was such a breakthrough, she thought she may finally be able to find a way to escape, almost forgetting that the casket was itself inside of the dungeon. 8:588 minutes, 58 seconds. Then, I had nowhere to go. 8:598 minutes, 59 seconds. Remember trying to go on the shelf and see if there was anything there that I could use for some sort of self-defense. 9:069 minutes, 6 seconds, and there were a bunch of keys up there. 9:089 minutes, 8 seconds. So, unknowingly, I grabbed one of those keys and hid it underneath the mattress. 9:149 minutes, 14 seconds, before she had the chance to try to come up with a way to confront him. She heard him coming. 9:189 minutes, 18 seconds. It was too late now, as the footsteps started to get louder and louder. 9:229 minutes, 22 seconds. As soon as he came down, he saw the door open, and he then raped me for the first time. 9:309 minutes, 30 seconds. For the rest of her time in captivity, her abductor would assault her multiple times every day, but out of respect for Katie, we won't be covering any of her subsequent assaults. 9:419 minutes, 41 seconds. I was able to have the TV on 24/7. 9:459 minutes, 45 seconds. It was on the news that I saw that the police had figured out where the call had come from. 9:529 minutes, 52 seconds. They knew that it was pre-recorded. 9:549 minutes, 54 seconds. This information led the police to put together a few theories regarding Katie's whereabouts. There were still questions we had. 10:0110 minutes, 1 second. Meanwhile, Katie was able to hear each of her family members' testimonies by watching the news, starting with Marilyn, her biological mother. 10:10 minutes, 10 seconds. just my daughter back. 10:13 10 minutes, 13 seconds. When I saw Marilyn on the news, I think I cried a lot. 10:19 10 minutes, 19 seconds because I could see in her eyes that she had missed me and that she wanted me to be found. 10:26 10 minutes, 26 seconds that gave me some relief and some hope. 10:30 10 minutes, 30 seconds. Her mother was convinced that Linda and Sal were behind the kidnapping because they lost her custody after she filed charges against Sal for Katie's sexual abuse. 10:38 10 minutes, 38 seconds. Our biggest concern is that we find this child, well and safe. 10:42 10 minutes, 42 seconds. When Sal, my godmother's husband, was on the news saying that he wanted me to be found, I was angry. 10:50 10 minutes, 50 seconds. If anyone had motive for her to be abducted or murdered, it was he, who faced serious criminal charges for sexual abuse. 10:57 10 minutes, 57 seconds. But Varen wasn't so quick to jump to conclusions, as he also had good reasons to believe that not only Marilyn could be the culprit, but that she may also have. 11:0511 minutes, 5 seconds tried to frame someone else for her alleged crime. 11:0711 minutes, 7 seconds. Her mother, Marilyn Beers, and Little John, Katie's brother, became aware of what was going on with Katie, and there was. 11:15 11 minutes, 15 seconds ample motive that they may set up an abduction just to get her away from a bad situation. 11:21 11 minutes, 21 seconds they'd be able to walk her out. Have Katie make the phone call, tape record it, put it right there, and leave John Esposito holding the bags. 11:31 11 minutes, 31 seconds. After a while, the investigation into the family members wore down. 11:35 11 minutes, 35 seconds each, and every one of them had solid alibis and no clues were discovered at any of their residences. 11:40 11 minutes, 40 seconds, so the police started to look into the last man on the list, the most unlikely suspect. 11:45 11 minutes, 45 seconds. The investigators retraced John Esposito's footsteps, but with 30 minutes to an hour that we couldn't fully explain and appreciate. 11:54 11 minutes, 54 seconds we obtained a search warrant and did a full inspection of John Esposito's residence, but there was no evidence of a crime. 12:0412 minutes, 4 seconds. The background check came in the next day and turned out to be extremely suspicious. 12:0912 minutes, 9 seconds. Once they contacted the Big Brothers Big Sisters Association, the program the suspect proudly claimed to be a member of, they learned the dark truth about Big John happened to them. 21:10 minutes, 10 seconds. I was determined to not let my childhood traumas come into my adulthood.